So there's a little bit of controversy around Justin Herbert and the MVP voting because he had an MVP vote, which is kind of crazy that it was actually only one MVP vote. This is the guy, he was the one person, I guess, who voted. Sam Monson, Emson Monson. Uh, how was a Justin Herbert vote? The guy had the worst offensive line in the NFL all season. And despite that, he was working miracles in almost every single game. Stafford's O-line became 2/5 as bad as Herbert's for 5 minutes, and he became a turnover machine. He embodied value. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, man. I wholeheartedly agree. I think the MVP conversation is just so absurd. We don't really seem to understand what makes an MVP an MVP. And that was so perfectly highlighted in the second to last week of the season when Matthew Stafford had all those turnovers and interceptions and whatnot. And people were like, he lost the MVP. Drake May has it now. And that was what the betting odds were. Like, everything just flipped up. That's what everybody was talking about during uh, the media, all of that. And then Matthew in the final game of the season, in a completely meaningless game against the Arizona Cardinals, a game that Stafford didn't even particularly play well until like the very end, put up a bunch of touchdowns and they were like, all right, MVP is over. Stafford wins it. And it's just like, because why? Like, because why? Nothing was shown in that final week of the season that proved that he was the M. Like, that is all the evidence you need to know. There were many other people that were more worthy of an MVP than Matthew Stafford. And again, to be clear, Stafford had an unbelievable season. He was awesome. He has a better argument for Offensive Player of the Year, quite frankly, than anything else. But Drake May has a better argument. Justin Herbert has a better argument. Christian McCaffrey has a better argument. Patrick Mahomes has a better argument. Seriously, there's many other quarterbacks that have a better argument, many other quarterbacks that had to do more with less. Don't ever say that I'm a Patrick Mahomes hater. I'm out here saying that he's was more worthy of being the MVP than Matthew Stafford. It's not who has the most touchdowns, it's not who has the most passing yards. I mean, it's kind of absurd. By the logic of the Rams or of voting Matthew Stafford the MVP, why wasn't Joe Burrow the MVP? I mean, why wasn't he the MVP last year? Well, because he didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs because of Justin Herbert, or excuse me, because of Matthew Stafford and not Beck, and they didn't miss the playoffs because of Joe Burrow. So the whole conversation is insane. And a Justin Herbert single vote that like brings up controversy is the perfect example of this. The perfect example of this. Justin Herbert was way more deserving of the MVP, and honestly, it's not even close. Justin Herbert's out there playing with like a broken hand. He's taking hit after hit after hit after hit. He's got to use his arm, he's got to use his legs. He certainly does not have Puka Nacua or Devontae. He certainly does not have an elite O-line. He did not have an elite run game. I mean, Matthew Stafford. I mean, this is what's so insane to me. Matthew Stafford had an elite offensive line and an elite offensive coach, an elite run game, something that people just don't seem to understand. He had an elite run game. It was a 1-2 punch. So their numbers were distributed a little bit. He didn't. So not one running back got all the glory, but the run game itself was elite top in the NFL and had the highest success rate. So they got the most amount of yards on first down, second down, third down, fourth down. They got the greatest percentage of yards needed for a first down than any other team in the NFL. And both running backs were 1 and 2, which is insane when you really think about it, because they're two completely different running backs and they both had the same level of success. Interesting, right? Yeah. Pretty interesting. And elite wide receivers, not one but two. And most likely, as long as Puka Nacua doesn't get injured, 2 first ballot Hall of Fame wide receivers. Okay? Like, what are we talking about here, man? Seriously, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre that for all these other quarterbacks, they hold that against them when you have all of those things. They hold it against Jalen Hurts. They hold it against Brock Perry. They hold it against, like, seriously, just keep naming them. They hold it against them. Like, not for Matthew Stafford. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. What about not having a top seed? He didn't even win the division. Didn't even win the division. And if you say Well, it's not his fault they didn't win the division. Well, it's not his fault they were the 5 seed, but then it was Joe Burrow's fault they didn't make the playoffs, or it was Josh Allen's fault, or it was Justin Herbert's fault. Like, I don't understand then. Like, this was a thing that Nick had a whole panic attack about a couple years ago when you were talking about, like, who should be allowed to be the MVP based on your seeding and whatnot. And it was just like, he was like freaking out about it. But now, like, it's totally okay. Now it's totally okay. Why? Doesn't make any sense. And listen, you can maybe make the argument that Matthew Stafford was deserving of the MVP some years in Detroit, that he was like more deserving or something. Heck, maybe even in 2021 when he won the Super Bowl, like that season. So, I don't know. I was like, when I saw all these awards get announced, I realized how little I actually care. And I'm like, oh, man, there's not much to talk about right now, and I'm sure this is what a lot of the people are going to talk about, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm sure it's going to be on the herd and first things first, and I was like, I don't feel like doing that. Laughter. I'm just being honest with you. I'm like, I don't need to listen to like Brew and Nick go back and forth on who should be the MVP, and it's just like, so I just wanted to do it this way and plant the flag that like Justin Herbert for me would probably be like the 6th or 7th option, maybe even lower, honestly. And I have a video that I recorded talking about, how elite Stafford is and how the Rams need to go all in on him. So it's just like I hate when I have this type of take and people are like, just because you hate Stafford or something. And it's just like, I find though that response so obnoxious because like this is a real conversation to be had, and I think it's a real disconnect in how we view football and how we view a player rising to the occasion. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Yeah, I don't get it honestly. It's not just who puts up the best stats. If it was, then we missed out on a lot of other MVPs over the years. Like Joe Burrow had 70% completion percentage, 4,018 yards, and 43 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 108.5. And guess what? Tegan's missed like a quarter of the season, and he had an absolute terrible offensive line, bottom in the NFL, and he had a bad run game and a terrible defense. He did way more than Matthew Stafford did this year. Better completion percentage, more passing yards, better touchdown to interception rate or about the same, and the passer rating about the same. Matthew Stafford was pressured 201 times. Joe Burrow 248. So he put up those numbers. Okay. With the worst offensive line. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. Insane what he was able to do, honestly. Absolutely insane. But if you want to say, well, he didn't make the playoffs. Okay. Well, Jared Goff had the number 1 seed in the NFL last season, threw for 4,629 yards and 37 touchdowns, clears throat, and a passer rating of 111.8. Why wasn't he the MVP? Baker Mayfield threw for 41 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, and a 71.4% completion percentage, and a pass rating of 106.8, won the division. Why didn't he become the MVP? I mean, it's so funny that that Lamar Jackson fans will always be like, oh, Josh Allen got like his MVP, he stole it from Lamar Jackson. And it's like Lamar Jackson in 23 won the MVP. He had 3,600 yards and 24 touchdowns. Why didn't Tagovailoa get it? He had 69% completion percentage, 4,600 yards, 29 touchdowns. Dak Prescott had 36 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 69% completion percentage. I think they won the division that year. Yeah, they won the division. Jared Goff, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 45,000 yards. Josh Allen that year, 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns. Like, I don't understand. So are we just making it up when we want the numbers and the stats to matter, or when you're winning the division, or number 1 seed, number 2 seed? So I don't know. I think it's all a mess. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Was Justin Herbert robbed of the MVP, or is Matthew Stafford deserving? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. This does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.